Welcome to the Discourse Analyzer AI Toolkit, where articles come alive. You're listening to the audio version of our article. For the full text and an interactive experience, check out the link in the description below. Interact with any selection using our AI assistant to enhance your understanding. Let's explore.
Key authors and thinkers in environmental discourse analysis. Environmental discourse analysis examines the complex interplay between language, power, and environmental issues. Key thinkers like Michel Foucault, Norman Fairclough, Aaron Stibbe, Ulrich Beck, and John Dryzek have profoundly influenced this field by exploring the dynamics of power, language, and governance in shaping environmental discourse. 1. Michel Foucault. Michel Foucault, a French philosopher and social theorist, is renowned for his analysis of power and knowledge and their influence on various societal structures. Although he didn't focus explicitly on environmental discourse, his theories have been instrumental in shaping how scholars approach environmental governance. 1. Foucault's concepts applied to environmental discourse analysis. Power-knowledge nexus. Foucault emphasized that power and knowledge are intertwined. In environmental discourse, this concept is used to analyze how knowledge about the environment is produced and controlled by different institutions, such as governments, scientific organizations, and corporations. This influences which environmental issues are prioritized and how they are addressed. Governmentality. Foucault introduced the concept of governmentality, which refers to the art of governing beyond the traditional state mechanisms, including the regulation of populations and behaviors. In environmental governance, this concept helps analyze how environmental policies and practices regulate individuals' and societies' behaviors, often under the guise of sustainability or conservation. Disciplinary power. Foucault's theory of disciplinary power explores how norms and rules shape behavior. In the context of environmental discourse, this can be seen in how societal norms influence behaviors toward the environment, such as through recycling or energy use. Biopolitics. Foucault introduced biopolitics to explain how states regulate populations based on biological factors. In environmental terms, this helps explain how population control, health, and environmental policies intersect, often influencing discourse around issues like climate change, overpopulation, and resource management. 2. Foucault's influence on environmental discourse analysis, analyzing institutional influence. His work helps scholars investigate how institutions shape and control environmental narratives, often determining what is considered environmental truth. Critiquing environmental policies. His theories offer a lens for critiquing how environmental policies may reflect power structures and reinforce inequalities. Discourse and regulation. Foucault's work on discourse helps understand how language and communication enforce regulations and shape public perception around environmental issues. While Foucault himself didn't directly study environmental discourse, his ideas have profoundly influenced the field, allowing researchers to critically assess the complex relationships between power, knowledge, and environmental governance. 2. Norman Fairclough. Norman Fairclough is a prominent linguist known for his pioneering work in critical discourse analysis, CDA. His work, although not exclusively focused on environmental issues, has provided valuable insights into understanding the relationship between language, power, and social change, which is crucial for environmental discourse analysis. 1. Key contributions. Three-dimensional framework. Fairclough developed a three-dimensional framework for analyzing discourse, which includes text analysis, examines the linguistic features of texts, words, grammar, etc. Discourse practice, focuses on how texts are produced and consumed. Social practice, considers the broader social and cultural context influencing the text. This framework is helpful for environmental discourse analysis as it provides a comprehensive approach to understanding how language in environmental texts both reflects and influences societal attitudes and behaviors. Intertextuality and interdiscursivity. Fairclough emphasized the importance of intertextuality, how texts refer to or incorporate other texts, and interdiscursivity, how different discourses mix, in discourse analysis. In environmental discourse, this is crucial for understanding how different narratives, e.g., scientific, political, economic, shape environmental communication. Ideology and power. Fairclough's work on ideology and power explains how discourse can reproduce social inequalities and maintain power structures. In environmental discourse analysis, this helps uncover how language used in environmental texts can reflect and reinforce dominant ideologies that affect policy and public perception. Critical language awareness, CLA. Fairclough emphasized the importance of fostering awareness of how language influences power dynamics. In environmental studies, CLA can help in identifying biased language in environmental debates, leading to more critical consumption of environmental information. 2. Fairclough's influence on environmental discourse analysis, critical approach. Fairclough's emphasis on critically analyzing discourse helps reveal the underlying power structures in environmental narratives. Multidimensional analysis. His framework encourages a comprehensive analysis that links language used to broader social practices, essential in understanding environmental communication. Challenging ideologies. Fairclough's work helps researchers challenge dominant ideologies and assumptions in environmental texts that may impede progressive environmental policies. Fairclough's approach to CDA provides valuable tools for analyzing environmental discourse by connecting the linguistic features of texts to broader social and political contexts, helping researchers uncover hidden power dynamics in environmental communication. 3. Aaron Stibbe. Aaron Stibbe is a key figure in eco-linguistics, an emerging field that examines the relationship between language and the ecological environment. His work explores how language shapes human relationships with the environment, focusing on the impact of discourse on ecological understanding and behavior. 1. Key contributions. Ecolinguistics. Stibbe has been instrumental in defining and advancing the field of ecolinguistics. He explores how language influences ecological perspectives and behaviors, emphasizing that language can either promote or hinder ecological sustainability. Stories We Live By. In his book, Ecolinguistics, Language, Ecology, and the Stories We Live By, Stibbe delves into the dominant narratives, or stories, that shape how people perceive the environment. He argues that understanding these stories is crucial to changing environmentally harmful behaviors. Positive and negative framing. Stibbe distinguishes between positive and negative framing in environmental discourse. Positive frames, such as those emphasizing harmony with nature, can inspire ecological living, while negative frames, like narratives of domination over nature, can justify environmentally damaging practices. Discourse analysis for change. Stibbe advocates using discourse analysis to identify harmful narratives and develop new forms of ecological discourse. This approach aims to shift public attitudes and behaviors towards sustainability. Ecological identity and values. He investigates how language shapes ecological identity and values. Understanding how people identify with the environment through language is essential for creating discourses that promote ecological sustainability. 2. Stibbe's influence on environmental discourse analysis, identifying ecological narratives. Stibbe's work helps identify the ecological narratives present in various texts, revealing how they impact environmental attitudes and policies. Promoting sustainable discourse. His research emphasizes the importance of developing discourses that encourage sustainable living, guiding public communication and education. Bridging linguistics in ecology. Stibbe's work bridges the gap between linguistic analysis and ecological thinking, highlighting the importance of language in shaping environmental realities. Aaron Stibbe's contributions to ecolinguistics provide critical insights into how language influences our relationship with the environment. His work highlights the power of discourse in shaping ecological understanding and encourages the development of narratives that promote sustainability. 4. Ulrich Beck. Ulrich Beck, a German sociologist, is best known for his theories on the risk society, which have significant implications for understanding environmental discourse. Beck's work provides a framework for analyzing how contemporary societies perceive and respond to environmental risks, and how these perceptions shape discourse and policy. 1. Key contributions. Risk society theory. In his book, Risk Society, Towards a New Modernity, Beck describes a shift from industrial society, focused on wealth distribution, to a risk society, focused on managing and distributing risks. This theory helps explain how modern environmental issues, like climate change and nuclear hazards, have become central to public discourse. Manufactured risks. Beck distinguishes between natural risks and manufactured risks, the latter being risks created by modern society, such as pollution and technological hazards. This concept is essential for understanding environmental discourse that deals with human-made risks. Reflexive modernization. Beck's theory of reflexive modernization suggests that societies are increasingly reflecting on and responding to the unintended consequences of modernization, such as environmental degradation. This process impacts environmental discourse by emphasizing the need for critical reflection on current practices. Global risk society. Beck recognized that risks are global in nature, transcending national boundaries. This concept helps explain the global nature of environmental discourse, where issues like climate change require international cooperation. Individualization and responsibility. Beck discussed the increasing individualization of society and the growing emphasis on personal responsibility for managing risks. In environmental discourse, this translates to discussions on individual actions like recycling and reducing carbon footprints. 2. Beck's influence on environmental discourse analysis, understanding risk perception. Beck's theories help explain how perceptions of environmental risks shape discourse, influencing public opinion and policy. Global perspective. His concept of global risks highlights the interconnectedness of environmental issues and the need for international discourse and collaboration. Reflexivity in environmental action. Beck's work encourages a reflexive approach to environmental discourse, prompting societies to critically assess their impact on the environment. Ulrich Beck's contributions offer a theoretical foundation for analyzing environmental discourse, particularly in understanding how societies perceive and manage the risks associated with environmental challenges. His insights into risk society and reflexive modernization provide valuable frameworks for understanding the dynamics of environmental communication and policymaking. 5. John Dryzek. John Dryzek is a notable scholar in the field of environmental politics, particularly known for his work on democratic theory and environmental governance. His research has explored how discourse shapes democratic practices, especially in the context of environmental issues. 1. Key contributions. Democracy and environmental governance. Dryzek has extensively researched the intersection of democracy and environmental governance, emphasizing how inclusive and deliberative democratic processes can lead to more effective environmental policies. Discourse analysis in environmental politics. Dryzek's work applies discourse analysis to understand the narratives and language that shape environmental policy debates. He categorizes different types of discourses, such as ecological modernization and green radicalism, showing how each frames environmental issues differently. Deliberative democracy. He is a strong advocate for deliberative democracy, which involves inclusive dialogue that seeks consensus in decision-making. Dryzek argues that this approach is particularly suited to addressing environmental issues, which require a wide range of perspectives and values. Ecological democracy. Dryzek has written about the concept of ecological democracy, emphasizing the importance of including both human and non-human interests in decision-making processes. This concept aims to ensure that democratic systems consider environmental impacts and sustainability. Institutional design. He has also contributed to discussions on how institutions can be designed to better incorporate environmental considerations into decision-making processes. This involves finding ways to integrate ecological values into political systems that traditionally focus on economic growth. 2. Dryzek's influence on environmental discourse analysis, bridging democracy and environmentalism. His work connects democratic theory with environmental politics, emphasizing how democratic practices can address environmental challenges. Discourse typology. By categorizing different types of environmental discourses, Dryzek provides a framework for understanding the various perspectives and arguments within environmental debates. Emphasis on deliberation. His advocacy for deliberative democracy highlights the importance of inclusive, dialogical approaches to environmental decision-making. John Dryzek's contributions have significantly shaped how scholars understand the relationship between environmental discourse and governance, emphasizing the role of democratic dialogue in shaping effective and inclusive environmental policies. Conclusion. Foucault's exploration of power, Fairclough's critical discourse analysis, Stibbe's eco-linguistics, Beck's theories on risk society, and Dryzek's work on democratic discourse all contribute significant frameworks for understanding environmental language. Their insights reveal the intricate ways discourse shapes environmental governance and public perception. Frequently asked questions. Who is Michel Foucault, and how does his work relate to environmental discourse analysis, EDA? Michel Foucault was a French philosopher known for his work on power and knowledge dynamics. In EDA, his theories help analyze how environmental governance is influenced by power structures, determining which narratives become dominant in environmental discourse. What is Norman Fairclough's contribution to critical discourse analysis, CDA, in EDA? Norman Fairclough is a key figure in CDA. His work provides a framework for analyzing how language reflects and shapes societal power relations, making it crucial for understanding how power dynamics influence environmental narratives and policies. Who is Aaron Stibbe, and why is he significant in eco-linguistics? Aaron Stibbe is a leader in eco-linguistics, a field that examines how language influences perceptions and attitudes towards the environment. His work emphasizes the importance of using language that fosters ecological awareness and challenges harmful environmental ideologies. What did Ulrich Beck contribute to the field of environmental discourse? Ulrich Beck introduced the concept of the risk society, describing how societies respond to and manage risks, including environmental ones. His theories are instrumental in understanding how modern discourse navigates the uncertainties of environmental risks. How does John Dryzek's work influence the understanding of environmental discourse? John Dryzek is known for his exploration of democratic discourse in environmental governance. He analyzes how various discourses shape environmental policymaking and advocates for more inclusive and democratic participation in environmental decision-making. How does Michel Foucault's concept of power relate to environmental governance? Foucault's concept of power emphasizes how control over knowledge influences societal structures. In environmental governance, this means that those with power shape the narratives and policies that govern environmental practices. What methodologies does Norman Fairclough's work contribute to in EDA? Fairclough's work contributes methodologies for CDA, emphasizing the analysis of language to uncover hidden power dynamics in environmental communication, which helps to reveal who controls environmental narratives. In what ways has Aaron Stibbe's work on eco-linguistics impacted environmental advocacy? Aaron Stibbe's work has highlighted the power of language in shaping environmental perceptions. His research has influenced environmental advocacy by emphasizing the importance of positive and conscious language choices that promote ecological awareness. What is the significance of Ulrich Beck's risk society in environmental discourse? Ulrich Beck's risk society concept is significant because it helps explain how modern societies prioritize and communicate environmental risks, influencing how these risks are managed and discussed in public discourse. What role does John Dryzek see for democratic discourse in environmental governance? John Dryzek advocates for inclusive and democratic discourse in environmental governance. He believes that involving diverse voices in environmental decision-making leads to more comprehensive and effective environmental policies. How do Foucault's ideas about discourse help analyze environmental narratives? Foucault's ideas about discourse emphasize how language constructs social realities. In environmental narratives, this means understanding how language shapes perceptions of environmental issues and the power dynamics that determine which narratives prevail. What insights does Norman Fairclough's CDA provide for media analysis in environmental discourse? Fairclough's CDA provides insights into how media language shapes and reflects power structures, revealing how media discourse influences public perception of environmental issues and potentially favors certain narratives over others. How does Aaron Stibbe's eco-linguistics theory challenge traditional environmental narratives? Stibbe's eco-linguistics theory challenges traditional narratives by exposing how language can either reinforce or undermine environmental sustainability. It advocates for more conscious language use to promote environmental protection. In what ways does Ulrich Beck's concept of risk society apply to current environmental challenges? Beck's risk society concept applies to current environmental challenges by highlighting how societies handle environmental risks like climate change and pollution, revealing the complexities in managing these risks through public discourse and policy. How does John Dryzek propose to enhance public participation in environmental discourse? John Dryzek proposes enhancing public participation by encouraging more inclusive dialogue and ensuring that environmental policies are shaped through democratic processes, allowing diverse stakeholders to have a voice in shaping environmental governance.